proudly sponsored by Premier Guns. Here's Newsnight with Alex Sayer.
Good evening, everybody. Can you believe a brand new shooting discipline that's going to be registered by the Cpsa is coming to grounds near you on the 1st of December? Super sporting. What excellent news for the industry. What excellent news for our sport. I had a long chat with the Cpsa this morning, and I will show you the Zoom call in a moment, so stay tuned for that. You'll also be able to check the link in my description for the full details. I'll be happy to answer any questions, of course. I believe that super sporting was developed from a walked up target shown on the British Open 40 years ago. Maybe this is something you've heard about. It's something that's been going on the occasional ground here and there in the grassroots of the clubs. The Cpsa have taken note. They've now developed it. They've come up with a set of rules for it, and it will now be a registered shoot. There's no planned championship as yet, but I'll certainly be watching this space. So what's different about super sporting? From my conversations this morning, I gather that there's going to be up to 4 traps on each stand. You'll be able to hear this from the horse's head in a moment. And you can also, and this is crucial, fire 2 shots at some of the singles targets. Here's the conversation I had with the Cpsa this morning. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for joining us today, Richard. I'm delighted to have you on the show so that you can tell us all about the new super sporting. So what's brought this about?
Yeah, thank you. It's good to be here.
Tell me a bit about it and what it actually is.
So it's a bit of a hybrid of English sporting, sport trap, and Cpsa sporting is probably the best way to describe it. So you'll have a sporting layout, a typical sort of English sporting layout, but instead of the standard on report or sim pairs that you would normally find on an English sporting layout.
So yeah. I've gone to a ground, say I've got my claymate, right to left, left to right. How would it be different with super sporting?
So you might come up to stand 1, for example, and you'd have a menu board in front of you, and it might be 10 targets on that stand. And
10?
What you might have 10. You know, that's typical, isn't it? On a sporting layout, typically anything from 6 to 10. So you could have 4 single targets, and you'd have full use of the gun to shoot those. So you could take a second shot if you miss it with the first. And then following that, you might have 2 on-report pairs, A and B, C and D. And then to finish, you'll have a sim pair, which could be whatever, A and D, whatever the shoot organizer decides.
I suppose one of the great things about this new super sporting is it is a break from the trap disciplines. Because if you're struggling on a going away bird, which let's face it, many people do, that's all a trap discipline is, really, isn't it? It's going away bird after going away bird after going away bird.
Yeah, I don't think we're aiming at the trap shooters really here. This is people who shoot English sporting already. I think those who shoot Cpsa sporting will enjoy this. It's very similar to what they do anyway. So we're not looking to take anything away from the people who shoot trap or skeet. It's just another discipline, sub-discipline, if you like, of English sporting. I think people will enjoy it.
It'll be interesting to see whether it's easier or harder because you're on the same stand. That's one variable that's taken away.
Yeah.
So
yeah. As I say, I think people who shoot a lot of sport trap or Cpsa sporting will get to grips with it quite easily. Others who don't really shoot those disciplines, where there are changes per stand, might find it a bit more challenging to begin with.
Because I think in people's mind, they think, oh, sporting, you've got to be really good to go to shoot competitively at it. Obviously, super sporting is going to be a nice way in. Of course, unless you're into skeet, you can't really shoot skeet competitively. Unless you're into FITASC, you can't really shoot FITASC competitively. But this is going to be a way in, and because it's new, we want to bring new people in as something that is totally different and a bit of a mix and blend.
Yeah, I think you've got to remember that English sporting is still, in terms of the numbers that participate, by far the biggest. And that's sort of matched in the number of registered scores that come in each month. As I said before, we're not looking to take anybody away from the trap or skeet disciplines. People love those, and I enjoy shooting them just as much as anybody else. But with super sporting, it's another string to the bow for people that enjoy their sporting disciplines and the variety that you get with those. And the difference essentially between super sporting and English sporting is that there is a lot more variety now on each stand rather than just per stand, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we hope that people will enjoy it and it will take off.
Sounds absolutely great, and maybe some people will just try it out, and before they know it, they'll be in a registered shoot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's got to be better to have a variety of targets at one stand, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's it can be challenging because you are doing a different target each shot essentially, but it's interesting. It's more variety. And
do you know how many registered shoots the CPSA do in a year? Last year, this year?
I don't off the top of my head. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. How many grounds are CPSA registered? Do you know that?
About 120.
Is that all? I thought it would have been more, actually.
No, it's about 120.
Okay.
We have about 300 clubs and grounds that are affiliated to us, but the majority of those don't do registered competitions.
What is the difference between somebody going round to a shooting ground with their friends, their local ground? Why should people make the effort to then go to a registered shoot? Because it's a big jump, isn't it, to shoot?
It is a bit. Yeah, it is a big jump. I think with clay shooting, you always want to challenge yourself, get better. We all want to score as many as we can whenever we go shooting. And I think to really do that, you need to be perhaps stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit and going and trying some of the more challenging targets that you get at registered competitions. Ultimately, we want people to shoot in our championships. And this is a sort of stepping stone to that. And generally, once you've done it, you've got over those initial nerves about joining a competition, they really enjoy it.
Yeah, because I've been to a few and they're really friendly. They're not actually, they're not highly competitive, even though it's a competition. Everybody's getting on and it's more of a social event, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
just with a record.
I don't think there's anything really to be, scared about. And they are social events and good fun.
Yeah,
we'd always encourage people to go and give it a go.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time today, Richard. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I think that's everything. It's been great to talk to you, Alex, and thanks for your interest.
Hey, no problem. Thank you. You take care, Richard.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. As you can see, I'm really excited about this new discipline, and I hope you are too, and that you'll take your friends along to the local grounds and check it out, and maybe let me know what you think to it. I also spoke to Andrew Cobban from High Lodge, who is one of the grounds that has in the past run something very similar. Here's his thoughts on the new Super Sporting. Hi Andrew, thanks for joining me. I'm going to talk to you about the new Super Sporting, which I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, has come from your ground, and the Cpsa have taken it on board. They've developed a set of rules, and how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's all quite exciting. Super Sport and is something that John Bidwell developed probably 40 years ago. And it's something that various grounds have embraced and do their own version of super sporting on an annual basis. And for sort of development of the sport, several of the grounds host it now, so they've made it a registered discipline. So exciting.
What do you like about it? What's different about it, would you say? What's the best bit about it? Why is it super?
Super sport, and John came up with the super sporting idea because I think back in the 80s, 70s, on the British and the English Open Sporting Championship, they used to do a walk up, and they used to shoot 3 targets on one of the towers and one of the last stands. So he thought that would be a good idea if on every stand, you had 3 targets and you mixed the combination of on-report pairs and sim pairs together. And he actually ran a trial when back at our old ground at Henham Park, I think in the 80s, we actually run a Cpsa British Open Championships where they did super sporting on every other stand as a trial. But it was just something that was slow to take off. And obviously it's only now, 2 years later, there's a lot more grounds running it, and they've decided to develop it into a registered discipline with classification.
Do you think it's easier or harder than your English sporting, in your opinion, Andrew?
I think it's slightly trickier because I think a lot of people that shoot English sporting, and obviously there's a lot of different talents out there, you're shooting more simultaneous pairs. So, and you're shooting more combinations of targets. So if you're a novice shooter, and it takes you 1 or 2 pairs to pick the target up, then you're a few targets down. So I think it'll be interesting to see, but I think probably be slightly more difficult than English sporting averages, but no harder in the normal sort of competition.
Well, you are allowed 2 shots on the singles, you see. You can empty your gun on the singles, and if you've got if the sim pair comes at the end, which it does, you will have already had that bit of practice in.
You can use single targets as you can with English sporting, but you don't usually see it in the format. So a true super sporting event is usually, say for example, if you had 12 stands like you would have on a normal registered sporting, you'd usually have 10 stands of 8 targets where you would shoot A on report B, A on report C, A on report B, and then B and C as a simultaneous. So usually it's on report pairs with a sim pair at the end. Obviously, same with English sporting. It's within the rules, but not conventional that you could shoot single targets on a stand.
What sort of people are you hoping to attract?
Super sporting attracts all the normal people that English sporting would, I mean, it's a discipline that can be shot with, by the youngsters, the ladies, the gents, the young, middle-aged, the old-aged, there's no limitations to it. It's just an enjoyable shoot that they can shoot in squads or individually if it's not squadded. And it's just fun to shoot. It's just a different dimension, to have a go at a larger variety of targets rather than having to grind out on consistency and make sure that you hit all 5 of the same pairs. You can have a go at 3 or 4 different pairs on the same stand. So another spin on the similar thing, I guess.
Thanks so much, Andrew. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Is there anything else that you'd like to add today?
No, just encourage everybody to go out and find the ground and have a go.
Thank you. You take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's today's news for you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you found it useful. Please definitely tell your friends about this, because I think this is absolutely groundbreaking and something which could potentially change the face of clay pigeon shooting forever. Thanks so much for watching. You take care, and I'll see you next week.
Proudly sponsored by Premier Guns.